Good morning, Anthony. Happy
Good morning,
Thanksgiving to
Chris.
you.
Happy Turkey
In
Day.
Happy Turkey Day. In 2004, a little known startup pitched a revolutionary idea for storing and sharing photos. That pitch deck, it helped Flickr land its first big investor, and the company went on to change how we share images. Crafting the right pitch deck isn't just a step in fundraising, it's the foundation for a startup's future. Anthony, today we have, I believe it is our first truly international guest
Oh,
live.
that's my
I mean,
cue. I gotta add him.
live from across the pond. His name is Sergio. Like, I should have asked you this just right before. I'm not even going to try to say your last name, Sergio, but experienced pitch deck consultant designer specialized in creating impactful presentations that have helped startups raise, are you ready? $560 million. That's a lot of money, Sergio. First of all,
You should
Sergio,
not try to do a Ukrainian accent. You
this
should
is
not try to do.
It's Dr. Evil. It's not
Yeah, but you
Ukrainian.
had a Ukrainian accent spin to it. You should not do that.
I really shouldn't. You are in Kiev, Sergio. Tell us, like, you went through some crazy stuff today. Like, being in Kiev, what a dangerous place to be in the world right now. And you took time out of that to talk to us two knuckleheads. We appreciate it. Sergio, welcome.
Thank you to inviting me today. And yes, we here in Ukraine try to continue working with no matter.
That's, yeah, just, doesn't matter. So tell other than just Anthony and I, what happened today and how lucky we are to have you this afternoon. Your afternoon, our morning.
Yeah, right now it's here in Kiev. It's evening, 5 p.m. and today all day I was without electricity supply because of last night we have a lot of drones from Russia, so it was quite funny night. But we already used to it. It's already 3 years almost.
It's you guys are like, just another drone attack. It's fine. It's like, I'm not even worried about it
We
anymore.
have
Well,
different
welcome,
definitions
Sergio.
of funny for
Yeah,
sure. Oh my god. Oh my
it
goodness.
is. What an incredible thing to have you this morning. So, Sergio, let's talk about pitch decks. Anthony and I love talking pitch decks. We love arguing about pitch decks. Well, let's just start with the basic one. Why does it matter so much for startups to build the greatest, perfect, awesome pitch deck? What is the most important factor here for us as startups?
Why care?
Uh, because you will never had second chance to do first impression.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. So, like, is you're thinking about building a pitch deck, what is the way that you start to even think about solving the problem of talking about an entirely complex business, complex people, and you have to boil it down to a few slides? How do you think about solving that problem?
We need to take it at the business overall and pick up only important part what the investor need to know at first. Because of today, everyone just scanning the text. So when you get something at your email, you have just only couple minutes. Take a look and okay, this is interesting or not, or it's moved to trash. So the most important part in the pitch deck, the investor should open your email and okay, I need to talk with this person. Because if you send the all information about your business, regular investor, okay, this is so complicated, maybe later, or move to trash. So the meeting never happened.
Yeah, it's a great point, Anthony. Like, just Anthony, weigh in on that. Like, you see pitch decks all the time, advisors, investor pitch decks, etc. That notion of like that instant eye candy, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, so to support Sergio's statement, so according to DocSend, investors look at pitch decks on average 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So that means they'll look at some pitch decks for 20 minutes and then a lot for 30 seconds. So I would certainly agree with what Sergio's saying, but I do want to make one comment, and that is I often see entrepreneurs. There's different types of pitch decks, right? There's the one that you send, that is the intro to your company. There's the follow up pitch deck that is, here's more, you asked me for more information, so here's that more information you asked me for. And then there's that pitch deck where you, the entrepreneur, stand in front as a venturetainment kind of a presentation where you're standing in front of other investors and actually giving the pitch deck in front of investors, either in a boardroom or in like a pitch competition. So, Sergio, I'd be curious, how do you approach those different, like those three types? The first impression send away, the second, follow up pitch deck, and then the one that you present in front of audiences. How do you think about those differently?
First one, you send some kind of one pager. It's just simple PDF, only with key numbers of your business. When you actually totally right, you have about only 3 or 4 minutes to investor take a look and make it interesting. A second one, it's called more like slide doc, when the pitch deck, what investor can open and read slide by slide. It should be not so long, but enough information to build you clear picture. And the third part, when you stand out on the pitch deck competition, it should be less wording, more showing. Because this is pitch deck, when you, especially on the pitch deck competition or in boardroom, the investor take a look not what you showing, but to what you saying, and how you confident with your pitch deck and so on.
I think it's a great point, and I think that they're like having the multiple pitch decks for multiple things. But I want to hone in on one idea, and I think because you've got a design background, right, Sergio? Like you came from as a designer. All right, so I want to dig into this one concept, which is our job, the pitch deck, or so that early first, either the one pager or the pitch deck, and I'm sending it out. And I might not be trying to get investment, but I'm trying to get some sort of attention. And so I've got to be able to gather attention in a really short, very concise way. Let's talk about that. How do you approach? It's easy to say, hey, you've got to gather attention. People don't pay attention to decks more than, they just
I'm barely paying attention to this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I hardly pay attention to anything. So, but what is the tricks? Like, how do you start to do that, Sergio? Like, how do you think about capturing that attention? What are the steps that you go through?
This is depending on the stage. If we take, for example, the early stage founder, you need to understand the investor psychology. The investors, they actually, no matter how interesting your code, like you are a developer, or how big your idea, the investor interested in only two things: risk and returns. So you need to show them how they can make money with you. There's only two things how you can have this first impression.
Yeah, so I'm building a money printing machine, and there's zero risk. That's the best way. Anthony, how do you think about it? So you're trying to get somebody's attention right off the bat with a pitch deck. I think Sergio nailed it, which is you've got to immediately frame what it is in it for the investor. But how do you think about that as you're building a pitch deck?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. So it's the fastest you can get through the three major questions. The three major questions is, what's the problem, right? What problem am I solving? The second one is, what's the market? And in other words, can this business make money? Can we sell something to solve that problem? Is it a monetizable problem? And then the third is it's kind of a combination. 3A is what is the solution, and 3B is why am I, or why is this company, why is my team the people to solve, why is my team the people to build that solution. So as quickly as you can get through, if you can get through that in 2 sentences, amazing. um, I see a lot of entrepreneurs spend a lot of time on way too much time on one of those three and completely miss one of the three, and that is that's a crucial step. Otherwise, you're gonna be part of those pitchers that investors start ignoring you in the first 20 seconds. So you got to answer those three questions quickly in the first 20 seconds.
So, Sergio, I've got it. Anthony's telling me I just need black and white, a white slide, 3 bullet points that just gives that out, and then I just send it out, right? So design clearly doesn't matter in this conversation. Please tell me he's wrong. Yeah, exactly. Come on. Fire him. Get up in his grill. Like what? So I agree, Anthony. You got to get that core information. But Sergio, what does it mean to have a well-designed deck so that people actually pay attention?
For this, I can probably repeat the word some famous person, maybe still Steve Jobs.
We don't even know who that is. Like we never talk about Steve Jobs on this podcast. I'm kidding. Yeah, continue. Yeah, we love talking.
And he said, design it's not how it looks, design it's how it works. So it can be blank slides with 3 bullet points, but these 3 bullet points can hit the aim. And the design, it's mostly about the content, what you say. And you can do some fancy stuff, fancy visual elements, but if your content totally bullshit, this is not making any sense.
Yeah, Anthony, what is the worst pitch deck you've ever seen? Like what, and not one of the funny ones. And I'll give you the example from mine. Mine was every slide had different animations. It would spin in the points and like appear and flash. And I couldn't even read the slides because they were always moving. It was like always bouncing. What's the worst one you've ever seen?
You're talking about my pitch deck, I think.
There's only two of your pitch decks for me, the 4 companies. Yeah.
So I think the worst pitch deck I've ever seen is actually one of my early pitch decks.
You made the worst pitch deck.
And kind of to that point, and to Sergio's point, so it was probably the most beautiful pitch deck you've ever seen. Very smooth, very great, amazing graphics, had a consistent brand, had storytelling animations in it. It was incredibly engaging. But the feedback I got after, I presented it multiple times, and I had, after every presentation, people would come up to me and say, that was the best pitch I've ever seen. What did you build it in? Didn't ask me one thing about the business. Didn't ask me, and like they were like, who designed that for you? Who created that? How did you build that? And I was like, okay, so there is a point at which form obfuscates the function, or the design of it completely obliterates your what you're trying to do is that, and that is convince investors. So I do resonate a lot with what Sergio is saying, is like, if you're conveying beautiful graphic design more than you're conveying the message, you've made a mistake.
So Sergio, as a founder, I'm walking in the door to you, and I have like, what are the biggest mistakes that you see when people show up with a pitch deck and be like, hey, I've got a perfect pitch deck, right? Like what are the largest mistakes you see?
I start with client to understanding the business. So firstly, the hardest mistake, it's idea what haven't any sense. For example, we start I met so many founders what in the sky, for example, okay, the person came to me, okay, I have this idea. I make simple research, and in your area the competitors do the same in twice cheaper. No, I believe in my idea. It will be great, and so
Oh
on.
yeah, it's fine.
Uh,
It's fine. Yeah, don't worry about competitors. We don't really worry about those things. Yeah, yeah, that's great. What
uh,
else? What
the
other
se-
mistakes do you see?
the second one, it's asking some unreasonable amount. This is all the time what I meet. The founders ask, okay, I have nothing yet. I have any MVP, but I wanna 3, 5, 10 millions at the first round. And investor, okay, why?
What are you gonna do with that money? Well, I don't know. I'm gonna pay myself. I mean, yeah, that's okay. What other mistakes do you see?
On that, I had one founder when asked, "This is I swear to you, this isn't made up. Why are you raising this much money?" He said, "Because I'm going through a divorce, and I need to pay my wife $500,000."
That's
Not the right answer to the question. Why are you
That
raising
is
so much
not. I mean,
cash?
I really applaud his honesty. That's incredible. That's pretty good. Okay, so any other mistakes that pop into your head, Sergio, as far as what other mistakes? So asking too much money, really not
This
understanding the market.
This is maybe not so big mistake, but I meet this so quite often when founders say, "Okay, I work in a regular job and do this startup on the garage on the evening." So, and from investor, I hear that this is not the business. This is hobby. Why I should pay about your hobby?
Right. I mean, I would love people to pay for my hobby, but it turns out, playing checkers, nobody pays me for that. So, yeah. Anthony, what are some other mistakes you see? Like,
Yeah,
what are some
I've
other
got a
things?
couple. One, I often see founders making the mistake of putting all the right words in all the right places and not having a soul. I don't know how else to put it. I even told the founder that once after it's probably the harshest critique I've ever given anybody on a pitch deck. When I'm like, that you said every word correctly. You have all the buzzwords that investors are looking for.
I've got
and,
all those
and
buzzwords.
all those,
EBITDA,
EBITDA.
ROAS.
But there was no soul. There was no soul to it. There was no passion behind the business. I didn't believe that they cared about it. What I believed is they spent time looking for the right words to get money, but not really caring very deeply about the customer pain and their passion to solve the problem. I see that as a common mistake where the goal is to raise money versus solving the problem.
And so I think what you're saying is also there is an element to great pitches and great pitch decks that is a storytelling component.
Yeah, and we've
Gotta
talked
be able
about
to tell a
the
story.
important.
Right.
Yeah, we've talked about the importance of storytelling in the past. This is one, if not the most important storytelling tool if you're going to raise capital. So you've got to get really good at it.
Sergio, there's these two sides to this equation, which is the first side is that, to your point, you need to provide the investors and whoever you're pitching this stuff to with the appropriate data. But what Anthony is saying is you've got to balance that with this concept of being able to tell your story, your passion, et cetera. How do you think about that when you help founders?
Actually, if we tell about early stage startups, the investor wanted to see this fire in eye about you're passionate about what you are doing. But if we tell the for example second for round A, for example, and so on. This is more about data because this is already working business, and you able to show, okay, the last year I make so much money, I need to grow, I need to more. And this is more logical, because at the early stage, you need to, Anthony fully right, you need to show this passion about your soul, about your fire, about your you solve this problem. This is actual problem. You not only wanted to make money and just go to Las Vegas with it.
Yeah, or pay your ex-wife. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great point, Anthony. This gets to this point so let's start with early stage first. It gets to this idea of founder market fit. Mm-hmm. And I think it's sometimes when people spend too much time on this idea that I've built the perfect solution for this problem and here is my deck that shows that, you're over engineering that because you don't know what your product's going to be when it grows up. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, fully. If we're talking about stages, I think Sergio really nailed it. On the early stage, focus on the things that we talked about before: problem statement, solution, market opportunity, your team, your passion for the project, and then when you're in growth stage, you need to highlight traction, metrics, clear path to ROI for investors, which you need for both. One of the things that I do have a question for is for Sergio. I often hear about, so I hear from investors, you're missing your exit strategy in your deck. What do you think about adding an exit strategy into a pitch deck?
Actually, sometime if we tell about the growing startups, I add this information to the last slide to understand. Okay, we can, for example, some big company will buy us in the close future, and you have this exit strategy, or we go to the market, or some different approach. What you can investors right now wanted to have some guarantee about they get their money back, because so many startups get failed, and right now investors so picky to understand, okay, only this company I need to try. Actually, and this depends probably with which type of investor you're looking for, because it can be some angel, it can be VC fund, or it can be accelerator, and so on.
Yeah, I think you're right. So really, when they're asking you what your exit strategy is, what they're really asking you is, how am I going to, not even how am I going to get my money back? Are you thinking, entrepreneur, about how I'm going to get my money back? You don't even need to have a definite answer, like these are the three people that were like to acquire us. You can leave it a little bit more generic. Like, I think companies like us in this space have exited this way, and this way. And I think all three of those are good options. And my strategy to exit is to build a really strong business to give us options on when we want to sell.
I think it's a great point. So let's talk about one other thing before we dig into the real tactical stuff. Let's talk about financials. I, for one, think that every one of my companies is going to be worth $3 billion by the end of year 3, right? So my financials just go like this. It's great. How do you coach founders to try to provide some sort of reasonable but rosy picture to investors? You can't say that you're not going to make any money, but also if you say you're worth $3 billion at the end of year 3, that's probably a little overly optimistic.
We need to find the way, something in the middle. This is from the competitor analysis. We need to take a look why your company will be succeed. Because your competitors already on the market. They already selling product almost exactly like you. Why and what you do different, what client choose wanted to pick you instead of them. So based on that information, you can build some more realistic maybe picture. And if you have traction for past, for example, at least year, you can understand, okay, here we have this problem, and probably this growth wouldn't be like only up, but somewhere we can be in 10-30% per year.
All right. So I'm going to ask you both here in just a second to give me the what are the rules of thumb as a founder, as an early stage or a growth stage founder, how do I think about building a pitch deck? But just to recap so far, a pitch deck's job, even though there's multiple pitch decks, you've got to be able to grab attention along the way. You've got to balance storytelling with data to be able to give that. You've got to make sure that your financials are not crazy rosy, but they're also very realistic. And you've got to make sure that you understand the story you're trying to tell and balance that along the way with pure data science. It's got to have a little bit of a soul, but not just pure beautiful design with no meat in it, like Anthony's first deck. He was like a sandwich with no meat. Who wants a sandwich with no meat? It's not a sandwich at all, is it? All right.
The butter
Sergio,
sandwich. So peanut butter
rules?
sandwich has no meat? I don't know what you're talking about. Peanut butter and banana, best sandwich ever. I do want to add one thing on the financial piece of it, Chris, if I can.
Yeah, sure. Go.
So one of the things I notice is a pro forma, essentially your projections for your next 5 years of your company. The earlier stage of your company, the more outrageous it is for you to present those financials with any level of certainty, and investors know that. Investors also sophisticated investors that have invested in these in angel rounds or early stage rounds also have this like BS factor when they're looking at a pro forma, and each one of them are different. Like one investor told me, yeah, whatever an entrepreneur tells me, I divide it by 3 and think that is the optimistic 3-year pro forma.
Yeah, that's the best case.
That the best case is I divide their numbers by 3. And so I do think so therefore I found that having presenting a pro forma as an early stage, you kind of have to, and I never did this, I made this mistake, but I saw other founders do this in a really interesting way where they created a pro forma that was like assuming everything was perfect and presented that to investors. Not that they believed it, but because they have to combat that divide by 3 factor that all investors have. So there's this point where you're going up against other entrepreneurs that are full of shit, and therefore you have to be a little full of shit. Otherwise, you're going to look. Your realistic numbers are not.
If you wanted to dive. If you wanted to dive in this like performa, sometime I'm preparing this Excel sheet with worst case, realistic case, and best case. So investor understand, okay, which one would be and what we can expect in any of these cases.
The best advice I've gotten on that one is build the 3-case scenario and then just do a little bit of research on who you're pitching to. If they're grumpy, like pitch the worst case. If they're like super optimistic, pitch the best case. Okay, Sergio, I'm building an early stage company. I need to build a great pitch deck. What are my rules of thumb? Go. Tell me how to do this in a real and effective way.
As Anthony said before, you need to understand the problem, solution, realistic market, just realistic, not imagine what. Okay, I have the billion market. This is totally not correct, and you need to show. Who you are. You need to show your experience, because early stage startups investor, they invest into the people, because you can haven't any product, you can have only small MVP what you just build it, and you don't know this would be work well or not. You just wanted to try.
I think it's great when Yeah, I mean, any other last words of advice for me as I'm thinking about this?
Uh, and probably be realistic when you ask.
Yeah,
Be
be realistic.
realistic.
Good one. Anthony, what are Sergio, the expert, you've done this quite a bit. Give us those core pieces of knowledge we can take away today from this conversation.
Yeah, was that for me or for Sergio?
Yeah,
'Cause you said
that's
me
you, Anthony. I said
Okay.
Anthony for God.
Yeah,
Again,
but you
you're
said
spacing
Sergio. Then you
out.
said Sergio, so I'm confused.
I said, but yeah, look, God,
I'm
hey,
confused.
hey,
All right.
hey, come back to us.
So the takeaway. I told you I wasn't paying attention. So the
Thinking about
takeaways.
turkey, Sergio.
The takeaways that I've been writing down.
Yeah.
So I think the first one is have different decks for different purposes. Intro, detailed, send away, in person. I do have open with a compelling hook. Like you've got to grab attention right away. It's really important. Then the three things that you have to answer: the problem, why, the market size, who are you selling to? Can you sell this? Can you make money? Then the solution, which is what are we building and how are we going to build it? So that's the product and the team. I put in here a limit, and I never followed this, but the common wisdom is to limit a deck to between 10 and 12 slides. I
Sergio,
really think that
yeah, Sergio.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I tend not to follow that because I like to build. I don't follow any of the conventional wisdom, but you're telling a story. So if you can tell that story in 6, great. If you need 40 because you're running through ideas quickly, that's 40 is probably a lot. But those rule of thumbs are very difficult, but to follow if you're really trying to tell your story. But certainly in something that you're sending away, if you send away a 40 page deck, they're not even going to open it.
Okay. Sergio, quick speed round. I'm going to ask a question. Tell me if it's a good idea or bad idea. Just thumbs up or thumbs down, okay?
Okay.
One of those decks that slides on a big canvas where your eyes are moving around. Good idea, bad idea?
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Okay, just a regular pitch
Yeah.
deck. Animations and things flying in and out. Good idea, bad idea?
Somehow.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Trillion dollar valuation after year 2. Good idea, bad idea?
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Okay. Really awesome conversation.
Hold on, Chris. I got more how-tos that I want to follow
go
in.
ahead.
Yeah, so a few more. Use visuals to simplify complex ideas. So folks like Sergio to help you with that if you're not a graphic designer. Focus on that we didn't really kind of touch it, but focus on unique value propositions. So what is unique about your thing that you're doing? Practice storytelling we talked about. And one of the things that we missed that is incredibly important, you have to end with a strong call to action. What do I do next as an investor if I want to learn more?
Or just
it's quite.
Yeah, you have to ask for the money. You have to say,
Ask
"Hey,
for
now you're
something.
going to invest."
Yeah, this is quite important because many pitch deck what I seen the only just end slide. Thank you. This is not working completely.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
come on, man. Put all this pitch deck together. Ask for the money, man. Ask for it.
And if you can, the last point, if you can credibly introduce a fear of missing out, if there's a credible way to say the time is short to invest and here's why, and it's not a lie, and an investor will believe it, use that. So like one great way to do that is like we already have 70% of the funds committed. I'm expecting to close the round in 2 weeks. If you want in, get in now. Another one is like our customer opportunities. We have a window of 6 weeks to land our first customer. We have this customer with an LOI. I need funding to like find those things that make it not just fear of missing out, but urgency to close for an investor. Because getting an investor to write a check quickly is really hard. So you have to have a reason for them to do that. And I'll end with
that. Don't lie, because that's a really
don't lie.
They will,
no,
they will find out. Make it do your
No.
promo, but no.
No any lie, and the last advice: do your homework. As previously said, you need to know who you pitching to. You need to be quite prepared.
I think it's amazing. If you want to learn more about this, Pitch Anything by Oren Clough. There's an article in the Harvard Business Review, The Anatomy of a Winning Pitch Deck. And there's a podcast called The Pitch by Josh Mucchio. Sergio, thank you so much for the time. Where can we connect with you? How can you help out? If any entrepreneur needs some help, how do they find you?
You can find me through my LinkedIn, or if you push some links, when can schedule direct call with me.
That's amazing. Anthony, get us out of here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there.
Happy, and I don't call it Turkey Day. I call it mashed potato day. Anyway, so next week we're going to be talking about this notion of grit. So we talk a lot about perseverance as an entrepreneur, but is it something that you can develop, or is it something that's innate? And we're going to talk about that next week. Remember to follow us on linkedin.com/company or how to founder, or just go to howtofounder.com, where you'll find us, our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and you can follow us on all of those. Please subscribe on YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn. And with that, Sergio, I really do appreciate.
Sergio, stay safe, man. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
And we're out.